Hello and welcome to Freedom Through Astrology, where we're giving you the keys. And as you can see, my camera is still screwed up. We're just going to minimize that. And it's freedomthroughastrology.com. I'm your astrologer. My name is Donald Patak, and my voice is doing better thanks to a whole lot of different stuff. And that's my contact information, standard YouTube copyrights. And I read astrology differently. And so I read what's called constellation-based astrology or true sidereal. It's astrology by the visible sky or astrology by astronomy. In ancient times, astrologers were astronomers. So they would tell you where the planets were in the sky actually and then interpreting it. Tropical astrology fixed the signs to seasons the way they were some 2,000 years ago under the Greco-Roman empires. We're not living there. So I do astrology as where the planets are actually in the sky right now. I also, in doing that, in reading the actual zodiac belt, that means there's 13 signs. Between Scorpio and Sagittarius is the sign of Ophiuchus. It's the symbol of the wounded healer. The icon is of a person holding a snake by the head and the tail. In ancient times, the snake symbolized knowledge. So when you're holding it by the head and the tail, it means control or use of knowledge. Ideally, you're using the knowledge to heal yourself and then heal others. I'm using the natural size of the constellations. There are people who have each constellation the same size, and Mother Nature in her wisdom didn't do that. She made them all different sizes. Virgo is huge at just under 50 degrees. Libra, Scorpio, Ophiuchus, individually, each one is under 25 degrees. So they're all different sizes. I leave them that way. And I use astrological midpoints. Athen Shementi, who I took a course with, excuse me, Athen Shementi discovered when he was exploring on the IAU boundaries that the IAU boundaries were arbitrarily drawn and there were stars from one constellation over the border and into another one. So for example, he was looking at actually the border between Scorpio and Ophiuchus, and he noticed that stars from Scorpio were actually over the Ophiuchus boundary. So looking at the zodiac belt, he found last bright star of Scorpio, first bright star of Ophiuchus, and he came up with the midpoint doing geometry. And he proceeded to do that with every constellation. So my cat just changed everything. So I used his midpoint system. I think it's more accurate. I do have a kitten with me. This is the tuxedo ankle biter. And yes, I do mean ankle biter. He has bitten my ankles. Keys to the reading part 2. I interpret using evolutionary astrology, which means, yes, you're going to be having these transits, but they're lessons to learn. There's an ideal outcome and then less than ideal. And you have freedom of choice. There are astrologers who are fatalistic. I am far from that. You have freedom of choice to choose how you want to work with these opportunities. These are the weekly lessons. So this is the weekly edition. So they're universal lessons for everybody. So do have some compassion on your fellow ground pounders, our earth travelers, whatever you want to call them. Dates and times are based on the Eastern U.S. time zone because I do live outside of Buffalo, New York. I'm operating within 1 degree of exact. If I want more than that, I'd be overwhelmed. You'd be lost. So within 1 degree makes it manageable for everyone. And the software I use is Capricorn by Prometheus. So this is just a quick overview for the week of December 1st through 7th, 2025. The week in the sun, we begin in Scorpio and we do end in Ophiuchus. We do have that sign change there. Second, we have the moon. It's actually relatively stable this week, all things being equal. It moves from Pisces through to Cancer. So there are a number of signs it goes through, but it's within reason stable. We do have the full moon in Taurus on Thursday, December 4th at 18:09 or 6:09 p.m. Eastern time, adjust for your time zone. And we do have 2 sign changes. We have Venus entering Scorpio and the sun entering Ophiuchus. Hold on a second. Little throat coat tea there. Tastes nasty, but man, it works. Our active planets of the week are this number one. It's an inner planet escapade this week. The Sun, Mercury, Mars, and then Venus in that sort of order. Um, the sun is doing the most with 2 transits plus a sign change. Mercury and Mars are in the middle, and Venus just has 1 transit, but that sign change does make it influential in my book. So those are the the most active planets. And when it comes to the outer planets, we're finishing up the Jupiter-Saturn transit, and we still have Uranus and Neptune working it out for a little while longer. And our retrograde parade is shorter this week with Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, and Chiron. I'm sorry. Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, and Chiron. And we will see that getting shorter, even shorter next week. So let me get my doodle tool here. So this is our overview for the week. And as you can see, the moon, we start in Pisces, Tuesday in Aries, Wednesday afternoon-ish evening, it's in Taurus, and then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday evening, it goes into Gemini, Saturday into Sunday, it's into Cancer. So even though there's like a number of sign changes, it's relatively steady. We do have the full moon in Taurus on Thursday. That will be very intense, and I will talk on that. Let's see, let me get my drawing. Here we go. So anything above this line is the older transits. So you can see the Saturn trining Neptune is over this week on Friday. And we still have that other long transit. As you can see, the beginning of the week starts out quiet. It does build Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and into Sunday. It does get more intense, setting us up for next week. When I ran this when I ran for this series of transits, I did notice the sun squaring the north node came up, but it didn't show the sun squaring the south node. But when I ran a different report, the sun squaring the south node did come up. So I do want to include that because it is going to figure into this full moon. So I did draw that in. That'll be Thursday, Friday, and into Saturday. But you can see there's the sun there, there's the sun here, and then we do have the sign change. So the sun will be very influential. We do have the 2 Mercury transits right there. And then we do have the 2 Mars transits right there. Only one with Venus, but we do have that sign change on Monday. So really, it is an interplanet parade this week for the transits, which isn't uncommon. But like I said, most of your transits, most of our energy gonna be Wednesday on and just building a crescendo. So let me clear my drawings. Anything else I wanted to cover? Nope. Oops. Jeez. Forgot to close that out. It's a Monday. It's been a day. First day back at school. So our current long transit still is Uranus sextiling Neptune. How is learning to be your individual self creating an interest in your spirituality? Neptune and Pisces. I do like calling that spirituality, focus on spirituality. Also focusing on being present. I like the way Stephen Forrest says it with Neptune and Pisces. Don't just do something, sit there. So it's learning to be present in the moment and being authentic to who you are. With the shadow of this, Neptune is not Neptune, I'm sorry, but Uranus and Taurus. Uranus, the shadow of Uranus is you being fake. You're either acting out or selling out. And in Taurus, it's selling out and just going for the easy way out, being lazy, or acting out, trying to provoke a response and potentially being the bull in the china shop. And Neptune is just trying to escape and numb the pain, live in a fantasy, do anything to get out of the situation that it's in. So when you're being fake, you're just trying to escape life, and it's just not going to work. That was, and then we have this ending this week on Friday. Jupiter retrograde in Gemini, the opportunity to learn how's that creating an interest in your spiritual maturity. And again, Saturn is about maturing and growth. And in Pisces, I like to refer to that as spirituality. It's being present, being in the moment, paying attention to what's going on around you. And that can also help build your integrity, character, and self-discipline. But the shadow of this, Jupiter in Gemini, Jupiter is the shadow of Jupiter is a crisis in confidence. And in Gemini, you're either a know-it-all or you can't learn it all. So you're either overconfident, know-it-all, or an under not confident and not trying to do anything. And how is that undermining? And what that does is that feeds a sense of cynicism, bitterness, darkness, and just a desire to escape, numb pain, get away. So that crisis of confidence can have you feeling a little scattered and feel feelings of fear and despair, sense of pessimism and failure, and like I said, a desire to escape. That will be ending on Friday. And this is, oh wow, never mind. Just a quick message here. This is a hangover from last week. Neptune in or Venus in Libra trining Neptune. So Venus in Libra is you're able to look at relationships, creativity, having fun, from different perspectives. Now, how are you learning to see people and understand people from different perspectives, or artwork, or having fun? Venus has different layers to it. We always focus on the relationships, but I think we're missing, if we just focus on that, you're missing so much. But how is that supporting your spiritual growth? How's working with other people supporting spiritual growth? Artwork, music supporting that, or just learning to rest and have fun, take a break. How can that support your spiritual growth? Um, hold on a second. I feel like I'm going to sneeze. Sorry. Okay, there we go. So that's the ideal. And it can help you, working with other people and doing these things can help you develop a sense of your higher self, and learn to see life and see the world from newer, higher, different, better perspectives. The shadow to this is you getting lost and giving your power away to other people, being a copycat, not taking that break. Just instead of taking the break, you know, instead of, I like to take a walk at work. Well, instead of taking the walk, I'm going to sit down and pound a can of Coke and eat some junk food. Not really taking a break. It's not going to do anything to help me deal with the stress of the days. So, and stressing out and doing those things, that will fuel a desire to escape, live in fantasy, run away. So, how can making, I don't know if you like to say, yeah, it can be. Libra can help you make a mess out of things fast because you're just the bad light, the scale's getting out of balance. Being indecisive, how can that undermine spiritual growth? Is there anything else I want to say and add to that? Yeah, I'll live with that. And the moon enter Pisces. Emotionally, you're looking for some inspiration. You're looking for a higher purpose, something that gives you a fresh vision for life. What leads to spiritual growth and feeling? Um, and what can give you spiritual hope for the future as well? Uh, the shadow is withdrawing into a fantasy, and it can have you feeling unfulfilled and empty, just kind of like going through the motions of life. Monday, Venus enters Scorpio. Now I'm going to do the next two readings kind of out of order. The second, then one I'm going to read actually starts first, but you can't understand it without understanding Venus in Scorpio because of the change. Venus in Scorpio, Venus is your relationships, creativity, and even taking a break. Exploring them more deeply. Anytime I think of Scorpio, it's depth. It's Toto pulling back the curtain. and wanting to see what's behind the curtain and exploring things more deeply. Um, so it's time to face the deep truths about your relationships with others, about your creativity, about the way you're resting and recreating yourself. Um, and also learning to be honest with yourself first and then with others. These all can be important assets. The shadow here is being impatient and disrespectful with others, and the intensity can come across to others in the wrong way. And instead of deepening relationships, it can be making them more shallow, even damaging them. And this one actually starts, this is the way it actually, the day sort of starts. We have Venus in Libra, and then Venus will move into Scorpio, and that's sextiling Pluto in Capricorn. So again, being able to examine relationships, creativity, taking a break from different perspectives, and then being able to explore them more deeply. How is that creating an interest in doing the deep work of transformation? Pluto can also be deep inner healing. Let's see, what do I have here? And it can also help you face the unconscious and do that deep work of transformation again. Sorry, I'm being a little redundant there. But the shadow, being slick, manipulative, and lazy, indecisive, and then falling into a deep and sour mood, you know, how does that lead to deeper wounding, bitterness, cynicism, and a sense of loneliness and isolation? Tuesday, Mars, or the moon enters Aries. God, Mars rules Aries, but they're similar. But the moon enters Aries. Emotionally, you're up for some courage. You're looking for a challenge. You're set for something. Embrace them as they arise. The shadow here is the moon can fall into fear, and this can be anger. This can be cowardice, and it can result in resentment or rage, and you can take this out on yourself and beat yourself up internally and emotionally, or you can take it out on others. And Wednesday, the moon will enter Taurus. Time to take a break, find some peace, and chill out. So take a break, find peace, and find the ways to bring emotional calm into your life. How can you set it up so that you get some breaks throughout the day? I always like to tell people, if you want to understand Taurus, get the book about Ferdinand the Bull. Go to any public library, ask the children's library about Ferdinand the Bull. They know the story. It won awards and stuff. It's the bull that just did his work, but would sit out in the field, smell the roses, and chew his cud. And they tried to put him into a bullfight, and he said, nope, not going to do that. Everybody else is going crazy, and he's just chilling out watching them. That's the perfect lesson here, being able emotionally to remain calm in spite of the chaos that's going on in the world around you. The shadow is becoming stubborn and stuck. This can result in moodiness and feeling trapped in a prison of consistency. Ick. Also, this sets us up for a powerful full moon. This is the beginning stages of it. The sun in Scorpio will be in a square to the north node in Aquarius. So the sun in Scorpio, you're examining yourself more deeply. Heraclitus said, I looked into myself. So you're looking to see who you are. You're pulling off the mask. Who are you really? And exploring your personal identity more deeply. And this is squaring, challenging, strengthening your North Node in Aquarius. North Node is your destiny and purpose in life. And in Aquarius, you're making it authentic to you. So as you discover more about who you really are, this is strengthening your ability to make your destiny and purpose in life more authentic. The shadow here, falling into a deep, sour, and rotten mood, can undermine and make your destiny and purpose a crushing burden, either acting out and pushing buttons and whatever, or selling out and trying to fit in with other people. And on Thursday, we have the sun in Scorpio squaring the south node in Leo. And this sets up the T-square. You can see it right here. I'll draw it. Because we have the square to the north node, we're adding the square to the south node, and I'll explain that in a moment. But the sun, again, exploring more deeply. And what is it strengthening? Your ability to see how you hold yourself back. That's the south node. How are you holding yourself back with the shadow of Leo? Pointless, childish, egocentric drama. Yeah. So in the T square, the sun, as you're pulling off that mask and you're looking at yourself more deeply and intensely, you're understanding how you hold yourself back, and then that will help strengthen your ability to make your destiny and purpose in life more authentic. The shadow of the square to the south node is getting in that sour mood and reenacting, and that all the ways that you've held yourself back become a crushing burden because you're reliving them and repeating them. And when you're reliving and repeating them, that is undermining your ability to fulfill your authentic, who you are here to become. And you either act out, sell out, you becoming someone that you are not. And hold on a second. Let me clear all this. Clear. And this sets us, okay, wait a minute, that's going to be coming up shortly. We do have Mars and Ophiuchus trining Chiron. Mars and Ophiuchus is the courage to heal. Remember, the sun, Mars is lesson of courage and assertiveness. So you're learning, you're having the courage to heal yourself, and also healing your courage, I would also say, and strengthening it, and you gaining the knowledge and wisdom on how to be more courageous. And I would say wisdom. Know when to stand up for yourself and how. And what does that do? That supports your ability to heal. And in Pisces, again, I'm going to go for spirituality. That is healing your spirituality, healing your higher self, almost like a higher purpose in life, I would say, almost in a way. Hold on a second. There we go. Okay. Tuxedo, can you calm down, buddy? Just stay, okay? So yeah, here we go. Yeah, and it helps you learn about your wounds from a higher perspective and lead to healing them more completely and more completely and on a deeper level. The shadow here is falling into fear and wounding yourself more deeply, or refusing to heal, or wounding others. Misery loves company, and boy, will Mars do that. It will take, I'm hurting this way, I'm going to hurt as many people as I can in a similar manner. And this supports what? Deeper wounding, feelings of loneliness and isolation. And this can have you help, this can actually lead to your identifying with the wounds more deeply and on a more deep level, and avoid healing them. And also, it could be the denial of the injury or desire to numb the pain. And then on Thursday evening, we will have the full moon in Taurus. We'll actually be able to see this. And let me get my doodle tool. And as you can see, I have it highlighted here. We do have what's called a grand cross, because where's my doodle tool? Here we go. We do have the sun opposite the moon and T-squaring in that T-square to the nodes of the moon. However, the moon opposite is also going to be squaring each of these things that I have circled. The sun, the north node, the moon, and the south node are caught in a T-square. So it creates what's called a grand cross. Now, I have the letters F here because all of these are fixed signs. So this can actually create a sense of stability. Let me get my notes here for this. So let me explain this. So the sun opposite the moon, the sun in Scorpio, is learning to explore who you are and your core identity more deeply, and it's reflecting on knowing on your need for emotional peace and and calm. So this is knowing when to explore more deeply and when to take a break. You're balancing that. And as you're balancing that, and it's helping you to understand how you hold yourself back with pointless drama, and helps you to create a more authentic version of yourself and help you realize your purpose. So the higher version of the Grand Cross in the fixed mode, whatever intention you set with this full moon in the fixed mode, can be stabilizing and lead to long-term stability. Okay, can you, that's not what this uh, Tuxedo likes to sit on my shoulder. He's like a perfect like neck wrap. So he's trying to get up there. So ideally, this is helping to set up an intention for this part of the month until the next full moon, where you're finding stability and knowing when to go deep, when to take a break, and seeing how that helps you with your destinies and purpose in life and being able to move forward. And it helps to sustain the intentions over time. The shadow here, falling into moodiness and being lazy and either acting out or selling out, these oppositions become a power struggle, and they pull you out of balance. So instead of stabilizing, this becomes destabilizing. So becoming moody and acting out in anger, or just getting lazy and saying, I don't care, or you're not even exploring, you're going for shallow and superficial and just being lazy about it. And in that situation, you know, what happens in this situation in the shadow of a Grand Cross. Einstein said it best. It's the definition of madness, trying to do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. If I don't do anything, things will get better. No, you've got to actually take action for things to get better. Well, I don't want to do that. Well, if you don't change what you're doing, you're going to keep on getting what you've always got. And that's what you'll set yourself up for. That's the failure of this Grand Cross. Let me clean that. I'm starting to feel my voice go. I shouldn't have talked so long, because we have another power transit. Friday, we have Mercury in Libra trining Jupiter retrograde. So Mercury in Libra, being able to examine ideas from different perspectives. How is this supporting your opportunity to learn? And are you taking those opportunities to learn? Oh God, this would be such a cute picture, the way he's trying to get his face around me. And how is being able, giving you the opportunity to lead to breakthroughs and understanding. So, yeah. But the shadow here is getting lost in information. You can get indecisive, being unable to make up your mind, and that leads to a crisis in confidence in your ability to learn, and that can result in confusion, disorganization, also problems with commitments, and you can just feel mentally lost. Friday, the moon enters Gemini as well. So this is emotionally, you're opening up to curiosity. And yes, the moon will transit Jupiter. So this is really going to get a little powerful, because we're going to add the moon to the grand trine. So pay attention to what you're curious about and gain new insights and information. Be open to unexpected surprises. The shadow is not paying attention or being distracted, and you can miss important insights and opportunities that could lead to something, new and interesting for you. Saturday, the sun enters Ophiuchus. The sun is your core identity, is who you are at heart. And in Ophiuchus, you're learning to heal that identity. Remember, the symbol is of a man holding a snake. So it's a person holding a snake, which symbolizes knowledge. So this is you learning who you are and healing who you really are and being able to heal that identity. Do look at what your natal sun sign is, because that is what is being healed. So like for me, I'm a Taurus. So during this transit, I'm learning to heal my Taurus nature. And it's gaining knowledge and also wisdom. The shadow here is collapsing into the false ego, and that's whether you're burning too bright or trying to hide away. And how can that lead to a wounding of your identity? And also, how are you use this information to kind of wound other people as well? We all know that cocky jerk who rubs people the wrong way and does stuff that hurts people. That's kind of the sun in Ophiuchus. And we have Mercury trining Saturn in Pisces. And again, the ability to learn and see things from different perspectives. How is that supporting your ability to grow and mature spiritually? And yeah, then how is that helping to build integrity and self-discipline? And the shadow here, Mercury, can get lost in information and overwhelmed and lead to confusion. And that can result in pessimism and a desire just to this fantasy that you can somehow control, that you can control things and control growth or control what can't be controlled. And this can result in confusion and lead desire to escape, also bitterness and cynicism. And the other thing here we have is a grand trine. And you have air, and water here, actually. So this is how is learning and information, how is gaining perspective and embracing the opportunity to learn, supporting your ability to grow and mature spiritually. The shadow is getting overwhelmed and lost, creates a crisis in confidence, and that results in bitterness and cynicism and a desire to micromanage or try to escape. Anything you can do to get out of it. Let me see, what else did I want to see in that? Yeah, and it can result in your living lies. Living in your head and living lies. And on Sunday, Mars in Ophiuchus squaring Saturn in Pisces. Having the courage to heal, how is that strengthening? Remember, squares are strengthening. How is that strengthening as you're healing, having that courage to heal? How is that strengthening your spiritual growth and spiritual maturity? And how can that help to also support your ability to grow and see and understand maybe your wounds from a higher perspective as well? Come on, buddy, get down. And remember, and squares are challenges, and the purpose is to strengthen you. The shadow here is that falling into fear and you wounding yourself more deeply and wounding others, and that makes that makes the square a crushing burden or a stumbling block that leads to bitterness, cynicism, crippling self-criticism, and just a desire to escape or numb the pains of life. And finally, on Sunday, we have the moon entering Cancer. So emotionally, you need to take a little break and learn to nurture and heal yourself before the upcoming week, as will actually be Sunday into Monday. So do learn to nurture and heal yourself. Learn to rest and pay attention to healers, those who can heal you. Also learn how to take care of yourself emotionally. Pay attention to your emotional needs and meet them. So if you lay low and lay back for a little bit, that's okay. Excuse me, the shadow here is whining about life or becoming defensive, can have you coming across and coming across as being cross and taking snipes at people, and you can feel alone, defensive, or invisible. So there we go for the week. Do follow me on social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. I do the weekly video on YouTube and on Facebook, Instagram, and in the Digital Soul Space. And on my blog, I do daily deep dives. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, they're making billions of dollars off your data. You're not getting much of anything. Digital Soul Space is hosted on the Mighty Networks. You control your data. who gets it and how it can be used. I call it the safe spiritual space on the internet. They have 4 moderators that do a great job of keeping trolls out and shut down. There's a free version and there's a paid version. Free version gets you limited access. Paid version gets you access to everything. I do astrology. There are other astrologers, but there are also people who do crystals, tarot, oracle cards, a wide variety of spiritual practices. It's just incredible. Herbal medicines, etc., all sorts of different practices. It's really incredible. You ask a question, somebody's bound to answer and give you insights. And it's really a great place. It's also, I call it the safe spiritual place of the internet. Um, hello. Oops. God. No, I don't believe it did that. No, didn't want to do that. I do readings, and this is on my website, a quick 6. So if you want to see how your chart changes, a quick 6 gives you 6 key points. I do the birth chart, natal chart, which in evolutionary astrology is who you came here to become. It's not the beginning and you're stuck in this rut. It's your end all goal. So I help you to understand the purpose of why you're here. The karmic or past life reading is a reading whose purpose, if you believe in past lives, you had a past life, something traumatic happened, you came here to heal it. This helps you to understand what the wound is, how it was created, how that's happening again in this lifetime, and then how you can heal it and release it. So that helped with that. And then I do horoscopes. I do a year, any 12 months in a row, 3 months, any 3 months in a row, or any 1 month. And that can be first to the end of the month or new moon to new moon. And then I have packages where I combine these readings on different levels. And that has a discount built in. So thank you very much. I am feeling better. I'm getting stuff in me that's helping me deal with this virus thingy that I have. So do like, follow, share. You get on my website, you get a pop-up. All I need is an email, and you get this. You get a newsletter on Sunday nights, and get all this information before anyone else. Also, discounts, etc. So thank you very much. Like, follow, share, sign up for the newsletter, and remember, in the visible sky, your life changes. Have the best week possible. Thank you very much. Come on. Oh, geez.